And welcome back to another Dream Wizard Plays. Smash that like button, please, and thank you. Here we are again at our comfy, cozy Cliffside Chasm community, starting with a bird's eye view, coming down to villager level for a flyby tour, starting at the crossroads. And there's our overlook tower. Oh, and a happy little villager. Hey, buddy. You'll see I did some improvements off camera, but I'm still not sure what to do with this little hole in the wall. So, I went off to build roads. Here we see our happy little villagers exploring the landscape. Of course, I built another tunnel because I love me some tunnels. Oh, what's that? Oh, we'll come back to that. It goes all the way through the mountain. But first, instead of making another bridge here, I decided to make a kind of a simple roadside overlook. Of course, complete with safety railing and a set of kind of windy stairs that take us up to the top. And up on top, it seems like our villagers want me to build something up here. But seriously, guys, why don't you build something? Is there a mod for that? There should be. Maybe there is. And here's that road you saw a moment ago, connecting to our tunnel, and the terraforming I did off camera flattened this out to get ready for our new castle. But first, you may remember that old abandoned road I mentioned in the last video. Well, again, off camera, I went ahead and built another tunnel. It's dark in there. Looks like I left out some happy little torches. Let's just fix that real quick. Much better. And here we have another crossroads. I really haven't decided what to build in this area, so I kind of left it plain, didn't knock up a building. I'll show you what's down the other way in a minute. But first, I am very happy to say we no longer have a bridge to nowhere. Now we have some happy little stairs, and our bridge is connected to another crossroads on the back side of the Chasm community. Let's get a aerial here, see where this road goes. Doing my own flyby off camera, I saw that peak in the distance, and immediately I knew there needed to be a set of stairs there. So I built some, along with another small crossroads there. Oh, here we got some happy little cows. Should bring you guys back to the village. We'll do that later. So coming back to look at my work in progress, I realized I had made a terrible, terrible mistake in building these stairs. No safety railing. So we're just going to fix that real quick. To be honest, though, how likely is it that villagers will plunge to their death off the side of unrailed stairs? Slim to none. Fortunately, they are smarter than that. However, I am not. So these safety rails are mostly for me. And I just like the aesthetic of it. They just seem right. Like the sets of stairs and bridges and different stuff. It just seems incomplete without the safety railing on there. It kind of feels wrong not to have them. So why did I build these happy little stairs? Well, it gives me an opportunity to build another bridge. More than that, I saw the opposite mountainside there, and it just looked ripe for another future construction project. So I laid down some road work, knocked up a bridge over the span to set the stage for a future return to this area, but that is a project for another day. And of course, more safety railing. Much better. And because the sun went down, we need some happy little torches. And then I went over to the other side and knocked up some torch pillars. Just like the look of that. It's not very fancy, but I like it. And then the final touch, a sea lantern on a pole for light mid-span. some reason, I guess you just can't hang torches on railing. I mean, you should be able to. Anyway, but that's enough prologue. So let's get down to the main show. Here we have our terraformed plateau. As you can see, I flattened it out to make a nice wide area for a rather large castle. Sorry it's so dark. Keep forgetting about that. I decided to run this stretch of road out a little bit further because I wanted it to go past the castle and at some point connect to another road that's out in the swamp. But again, that's a project for another day. So the first step of my construction process was to lay out some grid markers. I did that using these grassy chunks so I wouldn't confuse it for part of the building. I laid out an even number of them so I could place my double doorway smack dab in the middle for a nice symmetrical look. There we go. Then I started experimenting with the wall layout, but I decided I wanted something better than just a plain old square box. So right about here is the part where I wasn't sure how to describe what I was building, so I did some research. It turns out that castles used to be nothing more than square boxes, and these roundy bits in the corners were a later innovation in castle building technology. Because I never really thought of castles being a technology, but it was. So broadly speaking, we could just call it a tower, or it will be eventually. But it turns out we get that word from the Italian word torretta, or the Latin word turris, which basically means tower, and that is how we came to call them turrets in English. And now you know, and now I know. So I just talked over most of the video where I laid out the grid for the floor, very carefully counting squares to make sure everything would turn out, well, square, and so it has. I left those empty bits as markers, but also because I wanted to go back and add some texture to the ground floor eventually. Then I started making the frame for the front door and experimenting with the design for our walls and turrets. As you saw in my last video, I like to throw up both polished blocks and cobblestones to kind of break up the textures. Makes it more visually interesting. And there's kind of a look inside and outside. I like it. Coming together nicely. Then we just duplicate that in all four corners and all around the ground floor. Of course, I cut most of this up so this would not end up being a 6.5 hour video. There we go. And about mid-morning on the following day, I had finished the back door to the castle. And I took to the sky for a bird's eye view of our work in progress. So, I just want to say, all you hardcore players out there, you can mock us creative types, but can you fly in your games? I didn't think so. Yeah. Then it was time to start working on the second story of our castle, laying in what would be the ceiling as seen from the inside. And getting an idea of kind of how we were going to build the mushroom top overhang, so the second story would be slightly larger than the ground floor. Oh, there we go. I like using those upside down stairs to create a kind of smoother transition, add a bit more texture. I did the same thing around the front door too. It's more visually interesting. So once I got the basic layout squared away, took a break. And came back the next day to more rain, because it's always raining. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. We got a castle to build. There we go. So out the back door of the ground floor, I knew I wanted some kind of deck so the villagers could take a view of their Chasm community and the grasslands below. I used, I think, oak slabs for this. And I wanted to make it nice and wide, at least on the end, so that several villagers could hang out there at the same time without feeling cramped, you know? Maybe throw a barbecue or whatnot. Maybe a little bigger. There we go. Well, how about one more layer all the way around? And maybe one more. There we go. That's more like it. And of course, we can't just have a deck without supports. Defies the laws of gravity. Gravity is a law, and I obey the law. Well, I know I used a different kind of wood for these pillars, but I can't quite remember which one. Looks like it could be the kind of reddish acacia. I don't know. I just like changing it up for that color and texture. Oop, looks like that pillar was in the wrong place. Gotta fix that. Can't have offset pillars. Here we go. And of course, you can't forget the safety railing. All the way around. Except for right here. This is where I put in a set of access stairs heading down to the plateau surface. I just like stairs, I guess. And I used slabs for this rather than the stair blocks because, well, I like the look of it, but maybe that's just because it's kind of wider. I don't know. It covers more area. It's not as much of a steep incline. Personal choice. There we go. That's our backdoor deck. And another bird's eye view to make sure everything is nice and symmetrical. But also to make some aesthetic choices for the ground level floor. It was about time to fill in those empty spaces. I thought about using carpet, but that just seemed a little bland. The carpet choices aren't that great. Then again, I'm probably using an older version of Minecraft. So I rummaged through the menu and I found these polished basalt bricks. They have a nice dark pattern that would really stand out well as a counterpoint to the bright white floor. Placement was a bit tricky because they displayed differently based on how you laid them down, but that was exactly what I wanted, even if it took a little bit of extra effort to get them laid out just right. It seemed like it was still a little too bland, so I knocked out the middle and I gave these tiles a little kind of spiral effect. Yeah. And just kind of rinse and repeat in the corners. I'm a big fan of making things match left and right. Symmetry. Gotta love it. Probably should have cut this down a little bit more, but too late for that. Oh. And there we have a much more interesting ground floor. Not entirely sure what I was doing here or why I left it in the final cut, but probably just fixing some minor defects in the exterior. For whatever reason, that seemed interesting to me. And here we swing around to get a look at the front door of the castle and what our villagers might see making a nighttime visit. And I figured it was time to knock out these grid blocks since we didn't need them anymore. Yeah. Oh. Then it was time to get to work on the ceiling over the ground floor. I put down some happy little torches as grid markers, but also because it was dark and I realized that no one watching this would be able to see what I was building. I learned that lesson from the last video and I tried to do better this time around. 2 variable degrees of success. And round we go, laying in the ground floor. But as I was doing that, I realized we should probably get our staircase knocked up before finishing that layer of ceiling. I briefly considered a single central staircase directly across from the front door, but I didn't like the look of it blocking the path from the front door straight to the back door, so I opted for a set of kind of twin staircases on either side. First I finished one side, electing to make the stairs, this time actually using stair blocks, turn at a kind of 90-degree angle with a small landing before climbing up the rest of the way. I felt like the stairs would just be too big on the inside if I used slabs. Then I connected up the ceiling to make sure I had the height correct. That looked pretty good. And I went over to rinse and repeat on the other side. Maybe I should have cut this down a bit more. I mean, who isn't just going to fast forward through video of building stairs? But if you want to see how I did it, how I placed the blocks to get this particular effect, I suppose you could watch it. Really, I wouldn't blame you for fast forwarding. But hey, at least the music is good, right? I don't know why, but listening to this song in particular makes me think of Cyndi Lauper and the Goonies. I know it's not actually anything like Girls Just Want to Have Fun, but that's what popped into my head. And I ran the floor over from the other side to check to make sure it was level and that the stairs actually did match. You might notice I have the top of the stairs poking out over the ceiling squares. That's because I'm going to duplicate the style of the ground floor with the same white blocks. I don't think it's andesite. I can't remember what those blocks are. Probably should look that up. So I wanted to leave that additional height for what would actually be the floor on top of the ceiling. And in that regard, it pays to think ahead. It saves a lot of unnecessary block removal later. So a moment ago, I tested to make sure the villagers could actually walk up to the second story without bashing their heads. Speaking of planning ahead, I didn't actually plan ahead for that, so I was very fortunate it worked out. And also, speaking of poor planning, you saw me just knock out some blocks there. I had to look at the layout. It looked a little plain, so I decided we needed this kind of balcony cutout that would overlook the front door. So I put that in, and I did this upside down stairs on the underside to give it a little more texture there. And I went back and put a surround again for more texture around the stairs. And here I am putting safety railing in. Very important. But you know, for once in my life, I decided there was too much safety railing. I know, I was shocked that I had that thought myself. But it felt too much like a cage. And it just kind of blocked the view from the stairs, so I took them out. And of course did the same on the other side. Rinse and repeat. Probably should have cut this down too. But we got it done just in time for nightfall. It was nice and symmetrical. It really does make my autism happy. And I went back out front for a little bit of a ground level walkthrough. You always got to just take a minute and have a look at what you're building, see if it looks good. What it looked like was it was dark in there, so I popped in these sea lanterns as kind of recessed ceiling lights. Had to get that placement just right so it was even on both sides. And a few happy little torches around the front and back door. Just change it up a bit. All right. Good. Oh, I just saw it. Looks like it was polished diorite. I think that's what I was using. So it was time to start laying out the second story floor, and I decided I was going to do something similar to what I'd done downstairs and try and lay in these additional polished basalt tiles. And I tried a few different patterns and finally said, I'm just going to do the same spirally bit and ring it in. I even took it out and started over a couple times because it just wasn't centered. It's got to be properly centered. So I made that central spiral. Can't say the word spiral. Worked from there, trying to get them just right. It seemed a little small, so I added just a bit more in a different pattern. I think I intended to go back downstairs and do the same thing, and I just didn't. Just completely forgot about it. So there you have it. So I didn't like that kind of wide empty space in the middle here. Tried out a few different patterns before I settled on one that I liked. Took a while to just kind of figure it out, which is part of the fun. I left a bit of that process in here, eyeballing it from different angles to make sure it was good. Probably should have cut this down a little bit too, but there you have it. Yeah, all in all, the pattern ended up looking pretty good. Like they could have been like hand-woven dark rugs on a white stone floor eventually. I was pretty happy with that result. Almost like a number 8. Oh, I didn't notice that until just now. And then when I was done with that, it was time to put in the, apparently it's polished diorite. I like the contrast with the black and white. I thought about doing a checkered board or, chessboard type of design. I thought it would just be, well, too much work switching back and forth. But also, I just decided not to go with that design. I would have done it if I'd liked it. Let me fill in all those remaining empty spaces. And I decided these corners were a little plain, so went ahead and put some blocks in there too. Needle carpet. Well, and there we got our finished floor. And of course, we can't forget the safety railing. I could have waited to do this later, but it just seemed like, why not do it now? And around our little overlook here. Very nice. Then it was time to start on the second story walls.
Now we're going to go around to the retail side.
First playing with the spacing to make sure I hadn't messed up something. Then testing out some different textures of the polished stone and cobblestone. Trying to kind of match the design of the ground floor in a way, even though this one was gonna be different because it was more blocks. I chose to kind of fill in some of these walls completely so it wouldn't be just windows all the way around. That seemed like too much. You see, I used the cobblestone here, but for the central bit, I did cobblestone stairs and then upside down cobblestone stairs to kind of give it this little, I don't know, it's extra texture. I don't know a better way to describe it. And the same on the other side. Roundabout then, I noticed we had our first visitor. Little friendly traveling salesman. Hey buddy, why don't you come on out and say hello? It looks like he had managed to get himself stuck in the wall and he wouldn't come out. So I went back to work. So I made these windows on the, I guess you could call it north and south side, extra big for the best possible view. Nice wide bay windows up there. I like windows. Then I went around the back to start working on another deck for the second story. Got to knock up some support posts. Laying some slabs. Check that alignment. Make sure it lines up. Very nice. A few more posts. Hey, there he is. There's our traveling salesman. Let's see what he's got. vines. Who sells vines? Sand? Allium? Whatever that is. I don't even know what that's for. Dye. Bucket of tropical fish. We could have a koi pond out front. And I might actually do that. But I wasn't going to buy from this guy because I'm in creative mode. I would have to actually drop stuff in my inventory to buy it from him. And I might as well just drop a bucket of tropical fish in my inventory. So I went back to building the deck. So overall, I decided to make this one even bigger than the first floor deck. Why? I don't know. I guess I was thinking like when it rains, I wanted them to be well covered on the first floor. And it seemed like the second deck should have like more of an overhang. I don't know. But this is going to be a very nice view of the landscape from this elevation on the second floor of the castle and on top of a plateau. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Then the first floor deck was looking a little bit dark once I got that second story on, so I popped in some sea lanterns so that our villagers could barbecue at night if they want to. There we go. And I went back around to the front door for another ground level walkthrough in the daytime. Sometimes you just need to put your feet on the ground, see things from the villager's eye view, make sure it looks right, and appreciate the view. Hey, there's our friend again, still hanging around. I swear I saw him leave earlier. Okay, now he's leaving. So I headed outside to wave goodbye. Then we head up to start working on the second story ceiling. And round we go. So I finished that kind of first layer and then just had to look around to make sure everything lined up. So far, so good. Then, considering what it would look like from the inside, I decided to make the second floor ceiling out of stone slabs instead to make a little more interesting texture on the inside there, kind of a vaulted ceiling look. Probably should have done this on the first floor, but at this point I was not interested in knocking out the entire ground floor ceiling just to fix that. Maybe another time we're off camera. There we go. All four corners would look from above to kind of check the alignment. Then I went around and added another layer of recess to the ceiling, which would give the upstairs more of a wide open feel on the inside, and put some torches in the corner as markers, and because I realized it was getting dark and nobody could see what I was doing. Go. Nice and square. Just give me the bottom corner. Appreciating my work. Hey, our friend came back. He just kind of comes and goes. Maybe he's going to stick around. Maybe he's going to move in. We'll see. But in the meantime, back to work on the ceiling. And then, of course, Nightfall reminded me we were going to need some recessed ceiling lights on the second floor as well, so I popped those in the corners. Good start. And I decided to break up the plain texture of the stone slab ceiling with some cobblestone tiles. Yeah, it's a nice look. And it kind of runs directly between all the lights. And back to the stone slabs. I made kind of a double layer of those eventually to space out the lighting on the cobblestone. Yeah, like that. And then I basically filled in the ceiling with the same pattern. and it was extremely satisfying to have the last blocks I put in, just like that, come together just perfectly in the center. That means I had really measured and counted everything just right. So satisfying. I kind of took around to decide what to work on next and realized our upper deck out the back had no safety railing. Unforgivable oversight. Could not leave that important detail unfinished any longer. Then I went back out front to make a very critical decision, choosing the color of the roof. This time I went with a darker, I think, spruce slabs, because I didn't want the roof to be the same color as the deck. Picked a random corner, started making my way around. There we go. Everything looks nice and symmetrical, side to side, corner to corner. And I really cut this whole section way down because this thing took forever. Seriously. Again, I started in the corner to lay out the slope of the roof over our turrets. Yeah, looks about right. And rinse and repeat in all four corners and start filling it in. So I really messed up this part over and over again. I swear I destroyed and replaced more blocks in this section than anywhere else in this entire build. But finally, I got everything evened out, level, symmetrical, and I started laying in the central portion, which I decided was going to be kind of a single peak A-frame looking roof. There we go. It's a good start. Throw on some eaves. Then fill in the center, and we really find out if I spaced everything correctly. Ah, there we go. Like butter. Like butter. And then I finished that on the other side, like so, with my knee. Put the eaves on. And filled in the rest just in time for it to start snowing. Perfect timing. But that's when I realized our second floor deck still needed a roof as well. So I stuck with the style of the main roof and gave this extension kind of a similar look. Complete with some pillars for support. I don't know why when I'm dealing with impossible physics, or the ability to perform impossible physics, castle and sky, I still want things to look like they've been constructed realistically, for what it's worth. And of course a few more sea lanterns. There we go. Took a little flyby to admire my handiwork. And lightning struck nearby, just beyond that small hill. It set some trees on fire. But no time for that right now. Our castle needs more happy little torches. Ooh, more lightning. And I didn't notice this at the time, but that one struck pretty close, and I probably should have gone to put it out just to make sure it didn't burn down our Chasm community farmhouse. Fortunately, it looks like the rain doused the fire, so we dodged a bullet there. And it was still pretty dark inside, so I went around putting some more recessed sea lantern lighting in the ceiling. And then kind of took another ground level stroll through the castle. And decided it was time to put on the doors. I went with oak, even though there's another kind of darker wood that has a more castle-y look to it, but I like the little windows in these doors, so that's the ones I picked this time. upstairs here, I had a little trouble placing the doors, so I had to move the stairs. And then it was time to put in the windows. And, for some reason, this place seemed like it wanted the blue stained glass. I mean, I've used clear, I've used yellow in the past, but this one just felt blue to me. And I was immediately happy with how that looked. So, round and round we go, popping in the windows. Also feel like I could have cut this section down a bit more. But no, here we go. Second floor, windows. Nice. Still a bit hard to see in the dark, so roundabout now, I decided we should probably pop in some more of those torch pillars at the corners. And I probably didn't need to show myself building all 4 torch pillars, but I did. So I'm just gonna shut up and let you enjoy this song. And before the grand reveal, one more look at our original empty plateau for comparison. And there it is, our finished Chasm Castle. Gotta say, I really am happy with how this turned out. I mean, I had a rough idea of kind of what I wanted to do, but I didn't even know what it would look like until I finished building it. I gotta say, it's pretty good. The only real problem is I have like zero flair for interior decorating, so I don't really know what this building is supposed to be. Maybe some kind of grand library. I mean, hey, if you've got some ideas, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll come back here and turn it into something. But before we go, we will gracefully alight and ascend our entry path, get kind of a villager's eye view of the finished product from the inside. And really, this is a nice view. We've got the grassy plains below. We can see our sparse but growing Chasm community over there. Kind of in the distance there, a little nearby village. We've even got a nice view of the swamp. Gotta finish that road someday. All right, then we're just gonna head back outside and of course close these doors so we don't get any stray bats roosting. Oh, I really gotta do something with that hillside over there, since our villagers seem to want to gather up on top. I'm actually surprised none of them wandered over here during castle construction, but maybe it's just too far away from where I initially spawned them. I don't know how far villagers travel. I guess not that far. And then bloop into the koi pond for a nice low-angle perspective of the front exterior. Oh, I think it turned out pretty good, and I hope you agree. And hey, if you had fun watching, again, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. I'd love to do this for a day job. And if you enjoyed the music, I have all the artists listed here in order that the songs were played. Again, we've got Jeff Speed 68, CDK, Alex Baroza, Admiral Bob 77, Destinazione Altrove, probably said that wrong, Mind Map That, Karsten, Holy Moly, and especially The Stark. That guy is awesome. And that's about it for this episode of Dream Wizard Plays. Thanks for watching.